I'm DarkHero, and this story is called A Dark and Stormy Night.
It was a dark and stormy night. That's how a lot of scary stories start out. But that's how it was that night. There was a hurricane looming over Florida, and though I lived in the middle part of Alabama, we were still hit by some pretty horrible weather. My parents made sure we were pretty well stocked with flashlights, water, batteries, and food, so we're gonna be fine through the storm. Unfortunately, my grandma had gotten sick. She wasn't doing too well at the time. My parents were worried because my grandma wasn't able to move, especially during this weather. I was only 15 years old, but I assured them that I was more than capable of watching the house while they took care of Grandma. After all, it was only some heavy rain. The rain was getting worse, and my grandma wasn't feeling any better. They thought about it for a minute, but soon they were packing their things to go see her. After 30 minutes of telling me, make sure this is locked, make sure to go into the closet, call us if anything happens, they finally left. I locked the doors behind them and jumped straight to the couch. Rain didn't bother me at all. In fact, it was the perfect setting for my horror movie marathon. Heavy rain, almost a week before Halloween, and access to all of my favorite movies without my parents getting to me. It was the perfect setting. With the lights off and the rain pouring, I was fully immersed in my journey through Elm Street, and then Crystal Lake, and to a neighborhood in Haddonfield. In the middle of a scene, I paused the movie to replenish my stock of snacks. In the kitchen, I unwrapped a package of popcorn and tossed it in the microwave. I pressed the button to set the time and took a step back. My ears soon filled with sounds of the kernels popping. I scrolled through my phone. It was nearing midnight, but I was nowhere close to being sleepy. I was thinking about what movie to start next, until the hum of the microwave stopped and the lights all around me cut off. I was surrounded by nothing, aside from darkness and the sound of the rain hitting my home. I cursed to myself, knowing that this would eventually happen, but still angry with the situation. Damn it! I tried calling my parents. My grandma lived about 30 minutes away, so I was sure the power outage hit them too. Unfortunately, cell service was also out, so there was no way to contact them. Luckily, my mom kept a flashlight on the kitchen counter, so instead of standing in the dark, I grabbed it and clicked it on. Using the beam of light, I navigated my way through the dark towards the couch. No power, no movies, no Wi-Fi, and no cell service. I was afraid. Afraid I was going to die of boredom. I figured that I could just wait it out. Hopefully the power would cut on. But with the rain getting more intense, I didn't think that was likely. So I propped my hands behind my head and closed my eyes. The sound of the rain was starting to relax me until I heard the sound of tapping on glass, causing me to open my eyes. At first, I thought it was just raindrops, until it was definitely someone tapping on a window. Thinking it was probably my parents, I got up and walked towards the sound, using the flashlight to guide my way through the dark. I followed the noise towards the kitchen, and was faced with the window that looked out to the backyard. It was covered with white wooden blinds, and I lifted one of the slats. I peeked through the opening. I couldn't see anything. But whoever was outside started to tap on the window harder and faster at where I had my eyes. The tapping was so frantic. Thinking it was either my mom or dad checking in on me, I opened the blinds. It was still too dark to see anything, so I pointed my flashlight toward the window and was instantly filled with terror. Whoever was outside, it wasn't my parents. It was a disheveled-looking older woman. She was completely soaked from the storm, with long gray hair covering her head. She was completely naked, with her whole body pressed against the window. The old woman looked at me with bloodshot eyes and began to hit the glass with the palm of her hand. Her breath was fogging up the window. She stared at me as her lips curled into a smile.
"Let me in, sweetie,"
she said.
"It's cold out here." my sweet boy.
I turned the light off and took steps backwards until my back hit the wall. I had never seen this woman in my life. So many questions were going through my head, but I knew that I had to call my parents. I pulled my phone out of my pocket and still no fucking service. I was afraid. The woman kept hitting the window.
Let me in. I know you're in there, sweetie.
I didn't know what to do. All I could do was shrink against the wall and hope that whoever she was, she would just leave. I wanted to think that I was in a really bad dream, but as the sweat ran down my face, I realized this was actually happening. She continued to shriek,
Let me in! Let me in!
As the rain continued to come down harder than before, a crack of lightning flashed and I could see her smiling at me in that moment. The woman began to let out a cackle, and I just helplessly looked in her direction. Then, the banging and the laughter just stopped. After a few minutes, I slowly got up from the wall and looked towards the kitchen window. I shakily pointed my flashlight towards the glass and I turned it on. The woman was gone, and left in her place was a bloody smiley face on the window. The rain was slowly washing it away without a trace. My phone started to ring. That made me jump. I picked up the phone to hear the comforting sound of my parents asking me if I was okay. But I definitely wasn't. Now, I'm left with a story of a dark and stormy night.